Thank you all so much for joining us for another episode of Behind the Mic, powered by REVOLT Podcast Network. I am your host, y'all, Waj Rosette, RPN Community Manager. And guess what? Y'all, what I'm about to say, podcast enthusiast. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok at REVOLT Podcast Network, and follow us on Twitter at REVOLT Podcast. Now, y'all know me. I'm not one to beg, but I'm going to have to beg today. Please, y'all, subscribe to Behind the Mic wherever you listen to your podcast and give us 5 stars, like a 5-star rating. Like, you know what? If you want to do me one even better, don't just give me a rating. Write a review. Say, Wise is the greatest. Wise is amazing. Oh, my God. Wise be getting into it with the questions. And Wise always brings great guests. And, of course, as you can imagine, I have another great guest with me. She goes by Adriana, but she also really goes by Adri V. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Behind the Mic. Thank you for coming.
Listen, I'm just happy to be here, and get the chance to be with you with all this good energy.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I try. So you host a podcast on the REVOLT Podcast Network called The G Code. So tell us a little bit about The G Code and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so like you said, my mama named me Adriana, but I took that Adri V and I threw the Go Getter on there, and that is who I am. I'm a radio personality, speaker, podcaster, and all-around motivator, and stumbled into podcasting in about 2015, where I'm like, there has to be some kind of way where I can have these extended conversations that I love to get into on the radio, which is talking about the pretty, the ugly, and the grind to success. So my radio show is called Adri V's Go Getta District, where I bring in everyday go-getters, dope individuals who are literally turning their dreams into a reality. But I really started gravitating to the struggle. Like, for me, it's like everybody can see the highlight reels of what you're doing on social media. Everybody see when you're doing good, you flossing, you out here getting it. But no one wants to talk about those valley encounters, those moments when your car is being repossessed, you ain't got no money, the oodles and noodles is not even oodle and noodling. And it's just like those bottom time where you just feel like I want to give up. So those are the stories that I like to share and to show inside, of course, the G Code, where there's no need for the cheat code when you got the G Code. So we talk about those grind stories to glory. You know what I mean? So that's what it's all about. And I'm lucky and blessed to be on the REVOLT Podcast Network.
Listen, I love that. And first off, 10 years in the game, we got to clap it up for that. 2015 to now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a decade for the folks that's not counting now.
Listen, the podcast was just a thing. I was going back and forth to New York City traveling. At the time, I was working with SiriusXM, and they was coming into the studios. They're like, I'm making a podcast. And I was like, a podcast? What's that? And then I started doing my research, and I just like, you know what? This is just an extended conversation from my radio show where I really want to talk about this stuff. So yeah, it's crazy when you say that. It's been a minute.
And for the folks that don't know, where are you on the radio at? Tell us.
Yeah, so I'm on the radio in Buffalo, New York. Shout out to the cold city of Buffalo. Shout out to my Buffalo Bills, regardless of us taking that L. We had a great season. Cold city of Buffalo, where we build the West Side Guns, Conways, and Bennies. I'm on Power 93.7 WBOK. I'm also on in Rochester, New York, on a 3.9 WDKX, and Town Square Media sister station Hot 99.1 in Albany. And yeah, so, I'm going to do a little here, a little there, a little everywhere.
Okay, syndication, don't play with her.
Listen, I'm trying. I'm just grinding.
All right. So, I love to put people onto new music. And of course, we have this new playlist. I got to stop calling it new because it's not new no more. We done had it for a minute now. But we got a playlist here on Spotify called the B-Sides Track of the Week, where you can find all of the guests for this podcast, find their favorite songs, their favorite B-Sides. And B-Sides, to me, are tracks that are just as good as A-side tracks, but aren't really that popular. They're not singles, but they fire. So, Adri V, please. Let us know, what is your B-side track you want to share with us today?
Wow, I would say a B-side track, and I don't even know if I want to consider it like a, full-on B-side track, would be Che Noir. She's from Buffalo, and she has a joint called Ladies Brunch. Fire track with my full ladies lineup from Buffalo, Armani Caesar, Che Noir, and Love the Genius. So ladies spitting hard, going hard, and listen, it's a track that you want to definitely tap into.
Thank you for sharing that. If you are looking for that song and the playlist, again, just search on Spotify. It's a Spotify exclusive. search on Spotify, B-Sides track of the week. Now, what I'm noticing that's been a trend now is that all of the hosts that come on, they shout out the artists in their city. So y'all artists, tap in with your podcasters now. They putting y'all on. So now we know a bit about you from in front of the mic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I need to understand the person behind the mic, like that go-getter mentality, that constant grind and push to be better. Where'd that come from? Let us know more about you.
Honestly, that grind came from just watching my mother, single parent mother, growing up on the east side of Buffalo, straight up in the hood, taking care of her daughter. And, I watched my mother go to school, take care of her two daughters, work a part-time job, work another job, take care of her parents who were sick at the time. And she just never stopped at nothing, and I really started comprehending the grind from her when she started going through cancer. She passed away in 2022, but with cancer, nobody knew she had it unless she told you. She didn't allow what cancer made you look like to stop her. She threw on her wig, her eyelashes. She would paint her brows on. Your nails would turn black from it. She was putting on her press-on nails, and she was fly every time she walked out. And I remember going to the cancer institution with her, and it was like looking for the patient, Crystal, looking for Crystal. And she's like, I am her. And it's like, you don't look sick. And she's like, am I supposed to? And her grind, she went to work every day while going through chemotherapy and radiation because she was a nurse. So she was sick, servicing other sick people, and they had no clue this is what she was dealing with. So, when I look at myself and all the years of her taking care of me and my sister, and our house caught on fire before she rebuilt that thing back up and we moved on in, watching my mother grind and stop at nothing to achieve her goals, and even still grinding and servicing others while she was going through her own tumultuous time, really kicked my grind even into overdrive. I thought I had a grind then, but now it just really shows me that if God gives you the gift that you have, if he gives you the gift of life, which you wake up every day, and how could you be angry waking up in the morning? Like, I never understood people when they say, I'm not a morning person, because you woke up. You didn't have to wake up. So you here. So make this, 24 hours great. So behind the mic, I am just a girl who is just happy to wake up every day, to do what she loved to do, and to amplify the voices of my community and to give other people opportunity like I was giving myself. So, I'm a grinder. I'm a go-getter because I watched my mom go get everything she wanted in life to the day she passed away. And I'm going to do the same thing before I leave here. I'm going to die on E.
First and foremost, my condolences to you.
Thank you.
And your family. What would you say is one thing that your mom said to you that you hear often, whether it be daily, weekly? What would that be?
Yeah, what resonated with me is, Adriana, enjoy this thing called life. Like, I remember when she was sick and she was like, I was going back and forth trying to make a decision on buying something. She said, get it. Do you have it to get it? And I said, yeah. She said, get it. We live once, and through her living, I've learned how to live even greater, and in her passing, I've learned how to enjoy this thing called life. And like I said, we're given a gift, and my gift was Gab. And I've been a talkative little girl since I was little. She had to come in school to talk to my teachers because I got moved to another side of the room, and I talked to them too because I just making new friends, right? And to have the ability to now get paid for doing what I used to get in trouble for, it is a blessing. So it's just, do what you love to do, get what you love, and make it happen every day.
I know I've never met her, haven't been to Buffalo, but I know and I can tell from your passion that she really had an amazing impact on your life.
Oh, yeah. Even in her passing, like, she not here and I still make sure I do the stuff I'm supposed to do. Because I'm like, I don't need her dropping stuff and knocking stuff over, So I still try to be an obedient daughter. And she ain't even here to with me, but I'm like, she gonna get me later.
Okay. Well, y'all, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side of this break now, we're kicking it into overdrive with our rapid fire game right after this. I've always wanted to have the opportunity to talk to each of you individually. And guess what? Now I can, thanks to Fanlist. You can now visit fanlist.com/podcasts with an S and leave us a voicemail. Share your thoughts, your favorite moments, and even shout out a host that inspires you. Who knows? You might even hear your voice in the podcast. So visit fanlist.com/podcast with an S to get started. I'm looking forward to hearing from y'all. And we're back, y'all. Thank you so much for sticking around. And now we're kicking it into overdrive with the rapid fire round of Rank It. Adri V, you ready?
Oh.
It's a quick little game,
All
nothing
right,
crazy.
Okay.
And we are starting in 3, 2, 1.
Uh-oh.
Rank these social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, X.
TikTok 1, Instagram 2, X 3.
All right. Rank these popular tech innovations: AI, VR, and cryptocurrency.
Literally in the order which you gave me.
All right. And rank these music genres by relevance: K-pop, Afrobeats, trap, drill.
K-pop is taking the nation. 1, Afrobeats 2, drill 3.
All right. Okay. And we're all done. So you vibing with K-pop?
You know what's crazy? I have a friend who's a client producer for K-pop music. And when I tell you, I only got into it with him. And when I started seeing all that money come in, I said, wow, this is what K-pop is. And then I was listening to it because it's him. And I said, oh, it's a vibe. It is a vibe. And this older lady, she's like in her 70s. She loves K-pop. I was like, oh, I'm missing out. I got to dive into this K-pop situation.
Yo, so shout out to my daughter, Brianna. She is 12. We're going to a K-pop concert. We're going to go see aespa, actually.
Look at you. You a hip dad, okay? You're going to be the one going crazy.
You know what? I bought the little light stick. I'm going to be over there like, Oh, man. And listen, I'm having an amazing time. But before we go, unfortunately, we do have to wrap this up soon. What's one thing that people should know about you that they cannot get from listening to your podcast?
I don't know how, because I feel like my podcast has become like an audio diary. And I just be sharing my business and forget I done shared the business. So somebody be like, oh my God, that helped me when you went through that. I'm like, oh, I said that. I just get in there and I be sharing. But what people probably can't tell from my podcast, and I think when some people are around me, they get a chance to know, like, I'm an extrovert, introvert. So it's just like, I love people. I love connecting with my people, diving with my people. But, oh, do I love my alone time. And so I love just being in the house with my lights going and just chilling when I could just relax. So I like to recharge my battery as much as possible. And that involves me just docking my own self dolo on my charger. So I would say that, because I'm always doing something. I'm always moving around. So I've learned to appreciate my quiet time.
No, I definitely feel that, and I resonate. Where can our audience find you when they're not going to catch you in Buffalo, out in the streets doing your thing, on radio station here, there, and everywhere? Where can they find you to connect with you on socials?
Absolutely. You can find me on all things Adri V, the Go Getta. That's A to the D, R to the I V, TheGoGetta. That's on all platforms. You can find me at adrivthegogetta.com. If you listen to the podcast, you could text me at 214-70-ADRIV. That's 214-70-ADRIV. And as always, Friday night, Saturday nights, I'm setting the city right, giving you Adri V's Go Get a District radio show. You can always tap the app and listen in. And every Wednesday, dropping G-Code, on you when it comes to the G-Code podcast. Of course, powered by REVOLT Podcast Network. And remember, there's no need for the cheat code when you got the G-Code. So that's it. That's all.
You know it. Thank you so much again for coming here. I appreciate you. And thank you all, audience, for listening to another episode of Behind the Mic, powered by REVOLT Podcast Network. I am your host, Wise Grisette. You all can find me at The Real Wise on Instagram and on Twitter, formerly known as X. Again, The Real Wise, W-I-Z-E. I'm internationally known on the microphone as Wiz, Wizzy, and Wise, and I'll catch you all on the next episode. Behind the Mic, powered by REVOLT Podcast Network, is hosted by me, Wise Grisette. Special thanks to the Indie Creative Network and Storytime Studios for editing and producing this podcast.